Hello and welcome everyone to PURELive. It is Friday night at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time, and you are exactly where you're supposed to be. Thank you for joining us. I'm excited about my guest today. I know you're probably like, no, she's excited about every guest. I have had some really great guests recently. I really have. So I'm excited to get into this, but you know that before we get into it, we deal with our sponsors. So, first of all, we're going to deal with Boss, which you guys know that I'm a part of. Let's go.
Hey, sis. My name is Yasmin Brown, and I am the founder of Beauties on Successful Strides. We are your sisterhood community that cares, and we are advocates for your goals being achieved. I'm talking about those goals that you have put on the shelf, those stretch goals that you really want to accomplish, but a part of you feel like it might be impossible. We have been helping women to make the impossible happen, and we want to journey with you. We want to be part of your tribe to help you with making the impossible happen. And we do that by helping you to shift from the no zone. The no zone is that zone where it's like, you know what, I really want to do it, but I don't know if I can. I don't know if I should. I don't know if I have enough resources to do so or the support to do so. The no zone is also the fear zone. We help you to shift from the no zone to the no matter what zone. The no matter what zone is having that head crusher, no matter what, get it done, bold, confident mindset. And then we help you to be equipped with spiritual success strategies to success. That is basically helping you with developing systems that works while being part of a community that will support you, love on you, cheer for you, celebrate you, be resource providers for you, and so much more. The time is now, sis. If you are serious about your goals being achieved, if you are serious about making the impossible happen and reaching that next level, then join us. Become part of our sisterhood. Become part of a community that truly, genuinely cares. And I'm just excited to welcome you to Boss soon. Let's go. Let's take them goals off the shelf. Let's make them happen. Let's make the impossible happen for you. See you soon. Bye.
She's bubbly like that all the time. There's beautystrides.com if you want to get involved or hear more about it. A wonderful group of women to be a part of. And they are part of the reason that I have this show in the first place. So, yay, Boss. All right, moving on. We have Posh Women's Apparel. Hey. They supply a lot of the clothes that I've worn on the show. Here are a few examples of things they offer. One of those dresses in the corner I have that I've worn on the show. Another one right here. Boom. So if you guys would like to be a part or go on Posh Women's Apparel, there is a code. You get 10% off. You just put in Asia, ASIA, and you can get some dresses like me. Posh Women's Apparel. All right. I hope that you guys are ready to get into it, because now I'm going to introduce our special guest, Miss Tonya Carter. Welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
How are you this evening?
Absolutely wonderful. This is a great place to be. There's so much energy. I'm enjoying what you're sharing. Each time I've watched, I've just really enjoyed your guests and the messages that they bring.
Great. Thank you so much for that. So, ladies and gentlemen, she is an author. Very smart, very intelligent. I love talking to her. And we're going to watch this trailer about the book we will be discussing. So, here we go.
people to view women as assertive and would actually relate it to being more aggressive than being assertive. And it was a negative connotation, even in an environment like this.
Yay! Buy the book today. As you guys saw, it is on Amazon. And if you click on the link to get here for YouTube, if you click on her name, it actually goes straight to her book for you to purchase. Now, let's dig into it. Let's talk about this book. First, I'd like to know what encouraged you to write the book in the first place.
Well, I'll tell you, it's kind of twofold. I have children myself, and at the time that I thought about writing was about 10 years ago, when my two of the three children are daughters, and really felt like there was not much out there for them to help guide them be successful as they were getting settled into high school. And as I searched and couldn't find anything, I thought, well, I guess I should write something. But then life kind of got in the way. But the other inspiration was the fact that my whole life, I felt like I was operating in a space where men were predominantly working or playing. My interests were not all that. I guess I was a bit of a tomboy. and I always felt like I had a chip on my shoulder to prove something. And that's carried even to today. I find myself a bit competitive. And probably more so because I'm in a predominantly male environment. And I felt bold enough to go out and try it. But then I started recognizing that not everybody chooses the same approach, and wanted to really delve into ways to help young women be able to get past those things, no matter what their personalities and styles of communication were.
So I heard you talk about the fact that you have daughters. Did they influence you at all with the things that you wrote in the book?
They actually contributed, either stories from them or stories that were told by them. And I try to keep it general. Don't throw anybody's name out there. If I do share a name, it's usually only the first name and maybe the last initial, because I want those who are readers, I want them to be able to see themselves as the protagonist of each of the stories. But both my girls have definitely inspired some of the content because they have successfully navigated some things that most young women have find themselves facing when they're in high school.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting, and even looking at the trailer and what it was saying and what you're talking about, I actually pulled some statistics. So I'm going to read off a few and then ask your thoughts on them. So this is from Center for American Progress. This is the Women's Leadership Gap. It says women are 50.8% of the U.S. population. They earn more than 57% of undergraduate degrees and 59% of all master's degrees. They earn 48.5% of all law degrees and 47.5% of all medical degrees. They earn 38% of master business administration and other generalist degrees and 49% of specialized master's degrees. They account for 47% of the U.S. labor force and 52.5% of the college-educated workforce. And yet, although they hold almost 52% of all management and professional level jobs, American women lag substantially behind men in terms of their representation in leadership positions. In the legal profession, they are 45% of associates, but only 22.7% of partners and 19% of equity partners. In medicine, they represent 40% of all physicians and surgeons, but only 16% of permanent medical school deans. In academia, they have earned the majority of doctorates for 8 consecutive years, but are only 32% of full professors and 30% of college presidents. So I'll just stop there because there's plenty more data there. What are your thoughts on that? What do you think that's about?
I think one of the biggest things that is happening now, there's a lot of momentum because there is such visibility on this disparity. And
Hmm.
because of that, it's you see a lot more people taking advantage of this momentum to share concerns about that disparity. I do find that when people are in leadership positions, males in particular, they have a filter that they
Hmm.
know what they know, and they what they've seen as success, and they will continue. We actually all have biases, and these biases cause us to choose the same thing that we're familiar with. If we were understanding of how beneficial these differences are, then what we can also do is to start making changes by just by being aware of those internal biases. And but what happens when we do that, and that's why this is one of the key reasons for the book as well, is taking on that momentum of we recognize this disparity. We need to start preparing the students in high school to start determining what do they want to do going forward. Do they want to go to college? Are they going to be bold enough, to take chances and do STEM, and science, technology, engineering, math? It's not something that women tend to go into, um, for a lot of reasons. One, because we're not really raised to be risk takers. Young men are
Hmm.
expected to stand on the top of the monkey bars and jump off head first, and they're encouraged to do that at a young age. Whereas the young women are raised to be perfect,
Hmm.
supportive, and they are continue to be encouraged to not be risk takers. So when all of a sudden they're in a position where they could choose to do that, they're not really equipped to do it. So the concern is in order to close the gaps on the disparity, all the different ones that you were listing, because there's plenty more, we have to build an opportunity to equip and expose young women at an earlier age so that they're more comfortable with making the choices to close those gaps. I can say from my experience, I'm seeing more women in different roles. I know that
Hmm.
even though the problem has been here a while, I'm actually seeing a shift. Is it quick? No, but it's hard to turn the
Hmm.
Titanic. It's not, you're not going
Yeah.
to flip a switch and it's going to be changed tomorrow, but I do see steps in the right direction. And this book is specifically meant to help that momentum continue. I'm also finding networks. So this everyone that I've been associating with recently, just because of the book, these networks that I'm building are all about encouraging women and helping them along, lifting them up if they've made it through, or sharing
Hmm.
their stories so that they can be learned and hopefully model what the next generation will do. And I am excited about what the future holds because of these new networks.
Me too. Me too. And I want to encourage people that are listening in, that are watching, to ask questions and leave comments. We will see them and we will respond as often as possible. Looks like we have a question.
Yes. In what ways have you encouraged your own girls to be risk takers? Is the question I'm seeing from Barbara Harvey. Thank you, Barbara,
Hmm.
for your question. Uh, I have especially uh, a love for the school that I went to. My husband and I went to the United States Military Academy at West Point. And although we did not make our children go, we encouraged them to look at opportunities like that. So when we moved to the Virginia area, the DC metro area has a lot of opportunities that Michigan did not have, and we really took advantage of those and made sure to expose them to a lot of different things. And ultimately, one of the children, our middle daughter, ended up going to West Point as well. So we've got
Hmm.
three of us and hoping to encourage more to keep
Wow.
going. So definitely a STEM, an engineering school, and she's still in the military now, and we're really excited about her success and that of our other children as well.
That's awesome. That's very amazing. I've never been there, but I've heard so much about it that I know that is not an easy feat that you guys have accomplished. So that is simply amazing. I applaud you for that in your
Thank
daughter.
you.
Um, so I want to know what exactly is the message that you want to. So I noticed that it's not just the young adults women. You're speaking to the younger girls. So in speaking to them, what steps do you think they need to take to take charge in the way that you're talking about?
Well, there's some foundational things that they definitely need to do. The first thing that you find in high school students is being able to, specifically young women, is making sure to show that they or understand the value that they have, that their self-worth. If you have that understanding, it's a lot easier to determine, okay, I can be my authentic self. It's important for
Mm-hmm.
me to understand what my strengths are so that I can leverage them in the areas where I would like to grow. But you also need to recognize that at that age, you're going to have to try a lot of things. If you can't say I don't like something if you haven't tried it.
True.
You may not have a penchant for it, but sometimes you can actually participate in it and discover
Mm-hmm.
that it's an area that it's a lot more fun than you thought it would be. I never thought. I mean, I've always loved math. I'd never liked science, but I've loved technology, and I really discovered I loved engineering. But I didn't learn that until I actually tried it, and then it
Okay.
wasn't really a direction that young women would take, and was in a way it was kind of frowned upon. It's like, well, why are you doing that? It's the same thing as I want to play football. Well, why would you do that? You're a girl.
Hmm.
But I do, if you don't mind, I want to answer a question because
You're
I'm
talking about
talking.
this one right here?
Yeah. What
Yeah.
about biological differences? Are you pushing young women to be like young men? Absolutely not. And the reason why I say that is that we have to be our authentic selves. No one can be a better you than you, but you have
Mm-hmm.
to value who you are and what you bring to the table. But you won't know what that is or what those components are until you expose yourself to different things. One of the examples I give in the book is actually about me doing exactly what you're saying. I don't know what MX stands for, but MX, I hate to call you Max because you might be a woman.
Hey,
Um,
there's female Max.
that's
Maxine.
true. But one of the stories I share in the book is that when I was starting my career directly out of college, um, there was the work that I was doing, because it was predominantly male in an area that I wasn't familiar with. I was modeling everyone around me who were males, to the point that I was walking like them, talking like them, sharing. I'm looking at an exercise, a military exercise, and I'm repeating what I heard, not what I learned myself. And I just found myself lost until I took a step back, took a breath, and said, okay, what do you know? Draw upon the knowledge that you've gained and that you've been exposed to, and talk to it like you would, not like them. And when I did, I
Right.
thrived. But I had to,
Mm-hmm.
and clearly it wasn't, that one time and I was perfect going forward. I had to continue to learn, to be comfortable with who I am. And
Yeah.
once I did, it just kind of flowed. And you wish that your kids, you wish that your teenagers would start to do that sooner so that they can get comfortable with who they are, so that when they are starting to get exposed to things and practice in high school, I call these the formative years, uh, is that when they practice now, that when they step into college or business or whatever it is, military, whatever they decide that they want to do, they can do so with confidence.
Right. Right. And I think that was an interesting question to ask. So, what about biological differences? Everything that was stated so far had to do with whatever it is that you want to do, you know, to not be afraid to go forth and try. Um, so I'm not sure how biological differences kind of plays a part here, and I'm open to you bringing some clarification, whoever MX is, in regards to why you brought that into the forefront. When it comes to leadership, it's and female being in leadership. We now have a vice president who is a female. She is clearly in leadership. Um, and in the roles that I had to fight to be in project management. I was told so many times that it was so funny how they were trying to keep me in administration. Like, I don't want to do that. And, you know, everything that I've been doing, I've already been prepared for project management. Well, you need this. Well, you need that. Okay, I got you. I'm going to show you that I have it already. And so, you know, I got to that point. And so what I want to know is, in regards to the young women that you would be speaking to, are you telling them specifically how to step forward and take their turn? Or, you know, are you telling them to do it to the best of their ability? Like, what does that even look like? Taking your turn, what does that look like?
Right. And I would say that it depends. The journey is going to be different for each person as they explore themselves, self-discovery. That's what this is about, awareness and self-discovery, building up the level of confidence so that they can expose themselves to the different opportunities that may be available or create their own if they don't see any.
Mm-hmm.
Some people will be bold. I was bold, but I was bold because that was my personality. But I know that there are other people who aren't as bold, but they have just as much potential of doing some amazing things. But they won't understand where they're going to thrive until they try some different things. In the whatever their strengths are, they're going to have to leverage them. That's part of the self-discovery journey. And there's a lot of different ways of doing that. One of them I talk about is, you know, looking at assessments. I use the predictive index as one of them. It's a very short way of trying to get a better understanding of who you are, how you approach things. And that kind of gives you a litmus test, although I don't believe in labels because then that means you can't grow. It is right now the information that kind of tells you who you are, or maybe when you're in a tough situation, you might resort back to, but it doesn't mean you can't learn how to navigate different things, do things differently, even in a sustained manner. Once you get the education, the exposure, the experience, you will grow. And that's what your journey is all about. And that's why it's different. It'll almost be a customized plan for each individual as they figure things out.
Absolutely. I agree with you. And I want some clarification. So, although we have an engineer here and we have project management and, you know, hosting my own show, we have book author, we have all these different titles. There are so many other people in other situations that you can still move forward. Like there are housewives that I think are absolutely amazing. One of them is a friend of mine, and she wrote a book. You know, she's been blogging. She's been doing so many things and bringing us into her world and teaching us, because there's a lot of us mothers out there that want to know, how are you handling this? You know, how are you handling these situations? It's simply amazing. So I feel like she's taking her turn and doing what it is that she's doing. So I wanted to make sure they had that clarification. Just addressing what I think MX was going towards. I don't think that you're trying to turn us all into soldiers.
Nope. Not at all. Absolutely not. As a matter of fact, leadership comes in so many different forms. And part of being a leader is actually being a good follower too. So the followership aspect, there are times when and inform. Let's say I am the leader. I'm in front and I'm trying to guide a team through something, but I'm not going to know everything. I'm going to have subject matter experts that I work with that may even report to me, and a good leader is going to recognize that, and they're either going to groom someone to step up and help in that area of expertise, or they're going to allow that informal leader to step in and run things and then potentially step back because maybe they don't want to always be out front. It's being able to understand how to connect with others as well as understanding your own strengths, because we're never meant to be alone. As a matter of fact, as adults, we don't do our work alone. We don't spend our time on a computer or looking at books and doing research, and then our answer is the approved solution. We're going to engage other people, and we're going to network. I mean, if we didn't network, we probably wouldn't have the spread of the momentum of all the activities that are going on that are bringing this to attention of the disparities in women in leadership roles. So it's really important to understand what capacity you want to be a leader and or follower, whether you want to be a formal leader or an informal leader. Do you want to just mentor? You want to be solid and expert in what you do, a professional in what you do, and be that role model for the type of work that you're doing, or the subject matter expert in the work that you're doing. That's still being a leader. It's influencing others.
Absolutely, I agree. I want I want to respond to Ms. because I asked for clarification. I'm going to do the best that I can to communicate because you got a bit of a mouthful, but I think I understand more so what this person is coming from. So that, sure, biologically boys have more testosterone. This chemical makes men more aggressive, more combative, competitive, and take more risks. And here's the backup argument here. It's no fluke that insurance rates for a 23-year-old male are significantly higher than a 23-year-old young woman. The male is more likely to get into an accident, not the female. This is no slight to women, but we are different in more ways than plumbing. And I agree that you do have testosterone, and in some ways can be more aggressive. I say in some ways because I actually have found myself to be more aggressive than a lot of the males I know. I would say that I am probably more aggressive than a lot of the males in my own family. So it's not definite that because you are a male, you're going to be more dominant or more aggressive or combative. That's just not a fact. But I do understand where you're coming from. However, as stated, Tanya is just saying how to take your turn and be the best you that you can be. So it doesn't mean that we are saying, I am woman, hear me roar, I'm going to take over the world. That may not be your goal or your mission. Whatever it is that you want to do, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Tanya, whatever it is that you want to do, don't be afraid to take that step, I think is what you're saying.
Absolutely. And the one thing I do want to address, absolutely, males have more testosterone, but in order to compete for different roles, there's an expectation that you have to have a set of, a boldness about you to be able to make decisions that are going to help a business or organization or school, whatever it is, to be successful.
Right.
And even if my approach isn't always aggressive, as a matter of fact, what I find is that women are assertive, but it's mistaken as aggressiveness, because women will get labeled, especially an angry Black woman. So if I speak up and I express it, and anger is a fair emotion to have at times. And if we take the time to communicate it properly, we'll be heard. But if I express anger and someone else's perception is that, well, that was a really aggressive move, without taking the time to understand where I'm coming from, then we don't really make any progress. And that's where we have to level set on what's the difference between assertiveness and aggressiveness, and what about men who express the same thing, but it was okay for them, it's not okay for me. So, and that's what I think is important to understand is what's the appropriate approach. It's okay to be angry, or to really push something that you believe in, but you have to understand the culture you're in so that you can have the best impact and outcome, by communicating in the way that they're going to hear you, because that's the point of it. But some people will perceive it as aggressiveness no matter what you do.
Yes, facts. Absolutely facts. I actually had to practice, and, and people may think this is funny, but it's actually good practice. I practice in the mirror and sometimes with other people speaking about different subjects and handling different things. Even dealing with rocky interviews, doing mock interviews and things like that. It's helpful so that you can get the feedback and how people are viewing you. And it is interesting to find out how you can present the same demeanor as a male, but more negative feedback for the female than the male. I wonder
Yep,
what that's about.
it does happen.
So, what would you say? So, for example, I have a daughter myself, but my daughter is younger. She's 10 years old. Very smart, very brilliant, very artistic. The gifts and talent she has is just amazing. Um, However, she's a little timid. She's a little shy. She's concerned about how people view her, how they see her. Am I doing too much? And because they're full like, why are you showing off? Why are you bragging? Why are because she's excited to show her art and things like that. Look what I came up with. Look what I showed. So, what would you say to someone that young that's starting to be discouraged and showing what it is that they are gifted in?
I would actually not discourage that. I mean, one of the things that I'm finding is that most parents or the adult figures are mostly encouraging. I can't say that that's 100% around the world, because people do run into issues. When that happens and they don't feel that they're getting the encouragement, they do need to learn self-talk, a positive self-talk, and that will help them get over. So there's two ways that I talk to people about creating not only a positive self-talk, but also taking steps to have their super why. A super why is some overriding factor, something that allows you to focus on, to say that what I'm facing right now, I want right now, is not as important as what I need in the long run. And so that super why, when you peel the onion back and ask why 5 times, you get to that source of something that says, this is so important to me, I can stay on track with where my aspirations will take me. And if you can remember that, then when you get that shiny thing in front of you that says, well, I want this, and you ask the question, but do I want what the future holds for me more? And that delayed gratification will kick in. But you have to have a real super why. And that super why will also help you create those positive self talk moments to help you get through those tougher times. Whether you're shy, whether you're running into roadblocks, whether you have setbacks, they will help you get through those tough times.
Yeah. And again, for everyone that is listening and watching, please feel free to ask questions, comment. And Max, I hope that we answered your questions. If you have more to say, feel free. This is an open discussion. Um, so, in regards to your book, I know that you have a purpose going further than this book that you were written. So, what is the next step? in regard to what do you want to do with this book and after this book?
Sure. With this book right now, it's just getting launched. As a matter of fact, it was launched on February 25th. And for all of you, whether you're on the phone or on this live event or have contacted me offline, the support has been absolutely amazing. I became a #1 bestseller, national bestseller through Amazon, and even internationally through in Australia. And I have people contacting me to come and speak at different speaking engagements, different podcasts. I've been invited to write and contribute to another anthology. I'm being connected with people, some amazing women that I'm like, who am I to be sitting with these people? Somehow I got connected, and just God has been open doors for me that I would have never expected to happen. And so that for me is opening my eyes to, okay, you want me to share this. I knew this was going to be an opportunity to share with more people than I share at my job, because I love helping people. And that was the intent, is to put this in the hands of as many young women as I can. But I'm definitely seeing this come to fruition. I'm at the beginning stages of it, but it's absolutely opening doors. I was even invited to speak with, there's a woman I know who is, Dr. Mary is mentoring 50 young women in Gambia. And she invited me to come and Zoom with them to talk about the book and give them some guidance. How in the world would that have happened if I hadn't written this book? And I'm looking to continue those connections so that I can have a better outreach. And that's with this book. What I hope to do in the next stage is starting with a dissertation for my doctorate. I would like to go back to school for organizational leadership, and then take a look at the next stage of college to career for young women. So this would be like a series. So I'm hoping to do that next, but at first I got to get through the high school years. And maybe even I'll be able to follow a group of young women that, through high school and into college, and see how this has affected them.
That'd be nice. It would be nice. I'd love to see that or read about it or have it forth. And thank you, MX, for that comment. I'll put it up again. And we agree with you. I think she made that differentiation in regards to the assertive and the aggressive. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
And again, I encourage everybody to bring forth your questions and comments. This is an open conversation. I've noticed that in the past there's been so many books and speeches about how to be a man and things that are missing in manhood and what are you supposed to do and what does it mean to be a man, things like that. But more recently, there are more things coming out that are assisting and encouraging and inspiring and motivating our women. What do you think that shift is about? Why do you think that's become necessary?
Well, I think that it's not that it wasn't there before. It's just more visible now. So about a year ago, and this is what inspired me to really get going, is, as I had mentioned before, 10 years prior, Tino and I, my husband and I, recognized that there was not a lot of self-help books out there for young women. And so even though I started the journey at that time to start to write, I didn't finish it, but I really wasn't ready. 10 years go by, life gets in the way. And then all of a sudden, the Equal Rights Amendment becomes very prevalent in the conversation. And many public figures, women, are coming forward talking about inequality of pay. And there was just a great deal of momentum coming from that, because now all of a sudden it's public. People are talking about it. They're seeing these disparities. And I said, you know what? I've learned more. 10 years have gone by, and I've gotten more exposure, education, and experience. And I realized that I really wouldn't have created a good quality book that was going to help people, but I could now. And so, springing from that momentum in 2020 around the March timeframe, I sat down and I wrote the book in literally about 4 months.
Okay. Yeah, that's definitely faster than a lot of people out there. Some people are able to, spit that knowledge out, but I'm telling you, I've been working on my book for a minute now, and I
Mm-hmm.
am nowhere near done.
Well, hopefully, by my experience, I'll also inspire other people to get out there and go ahead and publish their books. You have something to say, you have something to share, and somebody needs to hear it. You want to get your messages out, and there's such a great way. Publishing is very popular. There's so many different ways, traditional, self, and even hybrid, that allow you to decide how you want to share your book. And if you want it to be a bucket list item, that's great too. You can do that. But if you really want to help people, do your research and find the right publisher for you to get your message out. I encourage you to do that.
I agree with that message. I do, and I've been downloading books on. I've been big on the Kindle. Thank you Amazon for that because it's something about it. I know I'm a millennial baby. Forgive me, but it's so much easier, to have it all on my phone. I can just pull it out and, pull my roster of books and everything. And your book is, on my list for my Kindle. So, I think that is a great, great thing. And so people can understand that, all the books and things that you're releasing, there's so many different avenues to reach to the different generations. So, books are not out. They are so in. I promise you that.
especially because of COVID, a lot of people have spent more time sitting down to read. I think that was another reason why it may have been so successful, is because a lot of people are taking the time to read. Now, this particular audience, that's why it was in an ebook format initially, is because I felt that this particular audience would be more likely to read on a device like their cell phone, or their iPad or something like that. But the paperback came out afterwards because there's a component that is important for adults. They're meant to guide. It's not likely that our youth are going to go out and buy a self-help book. That's why there's plenty out there for self-help for adults, but they may not choose to go and get the book. But there's content in here to explain the relevance of the book and where it went, so that adults can look at it, and all these standalone chapters, because you don't have to read the whole book. There's maybe some that resonate with you more than others, and may resonate more with the young ladies or young men. To be honest, it's the body of work is for young women, because of the survey indicated the items that were most relevant to them as a body of work. But anybody can read this and take away nuggets of information that will help them grow in their leadership journey. But ultimately, if you can, as adults, take that information that you're reading and provide it as a guided discussion, one on one or with a group as a youth leader, you can impart information that's going to help them on their journey. And Tonya, is there a workbook? And the answer is yes. It's actually a facilitator guide that goes along with the book. And inside of the book, when you purchase it, whether ebook or by paperback, it has a section that says, if you go to my website and sign in as one of my pearls, prepared, equipped, and ready to lead, then you will have access to that guide. And then if you want me to facilitate, whether it's a live or it can be virtual, and especially given the times, I can facilitate these live. I call them lunch and learns. It's like 90 minutes of talking about the chapter and guiding a group of people through the young people through the chapters, where they have exercises, because they have illustrations in the books for the visual component. They read, and then they have the kinesthetic at the end of every single chapter. There's something for them to do to practice what they learned in the chapter, and even ongoing, what they can do not only right then and there, but what they can do to practice over a period of time, so that the lesson that they learn is retained. Does that make sense?
That makes
Emma?
sense. Did I put that in right? Prepared, equipped, and ready to lead.
Yeah, there you go. Prepared, equipped, and ready to lead. That's what my consulting business, a Pearl Plus Consulting, is all about, helping to build leaders, and as well as the book.
So, is the book the only way for them to get those online sessions you were talking about?
I would say you don't have to go through the book. You can go directly to my website, and again, yep, the website is www.apearlplusconsulting.com.
Is that the symbol plus, or is it spelled out?
You spell it out. They wouldn't take my symbol. So
A Pearl Plus, and what was it?
Consulting.com.
Consulting.com. Okay. So they can get those sessions through your website.
That is correct.
Is this correct?
I had in mind I'm in a sorority, and within my sorority we have a group, and actually the Divine Nine, we have a tendency in our support of the community. We work with youth, and those different youth organizations. Even in my church, we have youth organizations. I had that in mind with these sessions, is that you can bring a group of young people together and be able to have these discussions, one topic at a time, and let them practice and spin off of each other and talk to each other, and that the parents can continue those conversations offline. I think that's just such an important thing to do, because again, we don't live our lives alone. So it's important to have support, coaching, and mentorship, even peer coaching. Those are the things that are going to help us grow. And I want to get that, so we can have not only richer relationships now, but to build an understanding of how teams work in the future, so that you can navigate them a little better once you get into an environment where you're seeking to lead.
Agreed. Now, I know not everybody's as fortunate as I was to have my parents pushing me the way that they did. I was, a born and bred leader in my family. I always wanted to, but I was also trained and raised to. And I've been doing the same with my own children. Would you recommend the book? Because I know you've mentioned high school students, but would you recommend the book for younger young ladies as well?
I would, if they can understand it. It's definitely written in a vernacular that's for a younger audience. There's content of data that allows you to see the relevance, and as an adult, the relevance and validity of the information. But these tools can be used, to meet readers where they're at. But I do think, middle school students could very well read the book and get something from it, but I don't know if it will be as meaningful to them until they're implementing some of those things. We will always be able to encourage our youth. One of them, there's a confidence course that's actually started to be offered more so at the middle school level, when it used to be just for adults. And then it was high school youth groups. And now I'm also seeing that these confidence courses that help you practice, they put you in a scenario, and then you have to take this group through an obstacle course and lead them, and you take turns leading. And they now do that for middle school students as well. And a lot of people are saying, oh, you got to get them earlier. You have to get them earlier. And I agree. But I also believe that you want them to retain it And the earlier you can expose them to it, great. But I feel the practice time is really going to be during those high school years before college starts, where you'll be able to choose the type of direction you want to go in. You know, if you, especially when I think of STEM, this is where you start strongly practicing those things that you're going to start to feel a bit more confident in trying.
So for us not, I'm project manager. I know what you're talking about with STEM. But for those that don't understand what that means, what do you mean when you're talking about that?
With STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math. And it's actually, it's even extended beyond that. You're starting to see more competitions in robotics and
Mhm.
artificial intelligence. And those types of things are absolutely um, dominated by males in uh,
Yes.
in in the work sector, and it's important to start to introduce more women. This is Women's History Month, and one of the things I was excited to see are so many different organizations really highlighting their women in organizations that you don't typically see women. Was just watching one for Tesla the other day. I had a lot of people from my company, which is predominantly male, Corp Business Services. I'm a director of corporate HR with that organization, and there was a lot of advice. You know, what would you say to your younger self, or what would you say to the next generation? And there was all this wise insight that was being shared. But I loved, and then as I look up to our leadership, that's one area that it's stronger in. There's When you look around, you see a lot of women in leadership, maybe not so much in the operations side of the business, but definitely in the others. And so that's something we still have to work on, but that also you have to attract people who want to work in that environment. But that
Mhm.
means exposing them to it sooner to say, you can thrive in this area, and we want you to see that it's something that's an option for you, and would you like to pursue it? But again, you won't know until you try.
Right. Yeah, that's like one of the growing things in project management altogether, which I thought was really interesting. And it's really because of the technology component. But let me not geek out over that right now. I have my geek out moment. Um, I wanted to say something to the young ladies and young males as well, but especially the young ladies because I've noticed just by watching my own daughter and with my own background, we've been labeled with, oh, you're weird, you know,
Mm,
you're like, why do you act like that? And, because we're expected to be different because of us being female. Um, so it's okay. It's okay to be different.
that's the point.
Us different women, we make moves, we make changes. We're a part of the biggest movements in history. So it's okay. So
And
I'm
they have to be
very
comfortable with it. They have to
grateful.
learn to be comfortable with it, because again, you're the only one who could be the best you could be. That
Right,
means you have to grasp the idea of, I have value, I have self-worth, I have something to bring, and I need to be heard.
right. Absolutely, absolutely. I totally agree with you. And again, let me reiterate: we are not saying just the engineers and the scientists and the project managers and executives. There are plenty of other people. Like I saw, I saw something about. Well, I love watching a bunch of history shows, and it showed the woman that invented a certain type of bra. Game changer. You know, it was like instead of these weird pointy things, we have more of what we have today. Like, thank you to that person that invented that. So it's whatever it is that you have in your spirit, in your mind, whatever it is that you were born to do, just don't be afraid to step out and do it. So I'm excited about this book. I did read it. I have made it a habit to read the books of my guests and purchase them. Um, so yeah, I think I'm going to share the ideas of the book with my daughter, and I encourage other people to do the same. Share with your daughter, share with your niece, share with your cousin, share with your mama, share it with everybody.
Right.
I love it. I love it. I'm going to take a quick break, and then when we come back from the break, I want you to um, give closing thoughts on what you want to say to everyone.
Absolutely.
Girl, close your eyes. Let the rhythm get into you. Don't try to fight it. There ain't nothing that you can do. Relax your mind.
Yeah, so that's a new take on Rock With You by Elijah Jamal. Oh
Yep.
my God, I love this song. It is on my playlist. It is out now. You guys can get it wherever music is streaming. You can get it. I have it. You need to get it. He is going to be a guest on my show soon. But he's my next guest, actually. He will be the next guest talking about his album. So, yes, be ready.
I'll be
So,
there.
please. Please, please, Tanya, give your closing remarks. What do you want to say to our audience?
The biggest thing that I want to share is this is a great opportunity with this book or a lot of the other information that's coming out to invest in your young ladies. Start early, formative years between 13 and 18 to really help them build a level of confidence that they are willing to try and be exposed to a lot of things so that they can reach their potential, whatever it might be. Let them lead the way. Don't tell them, help guide them. And
Yes,
ultimately, they will find their way. Just be there to support so that they don't feel like they're doing it alone, and ultimately they will find their way. And I'm hoping that this book would be a stepping stone in that direction.
yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I love the book. I hope that all of you go out and get the book. I have been posting the name of it throughout the show so you don't forget subliminal messages. Here you go. Here's the book again. Again, you can go also on my website and it'll lead you right to the place where you can purchase the book under PURELive events, and you will see her name. And under March 26th, click on her name, and it'll lead you right there to where you can purchase the book. And I want you guys
Thank
to,
you,
first
Jasmine.
of all, yes, we've had great conversation. Great conversation today. And just so you know, Yasmin Brown is actually the head of Boss.
I know, that's right. I was going to tell you, I did look on Boss and I'm loving that, what I'm seeing.
Hey, hey, Boss. So, everybody, please remember to come back here every Friday, 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. If you want to be a part of getting my newsletter, you can go on my website, scroll to the bottom, and you can fill out the little form, give me your email address, and you will get all the good stuff that you won't see on the show every Friday. And I look forward to seeing you guys again next week. Remember to embrace God's perfect design, which is you. See you then, Friday, 9 p.m. Central Standard Time.